Thank you for tuning into the Faceless Podcast. I go by the name of Shepherd. My friends call me Sheps. You could call me whatever you want. As long as it's not I'll most likely respond. So, moving on from the previous video, which is dealing with the police, I wanted to talk about another issue as well, which I think with everyone, with lockdown easing, people going back to work, people going back to schools, kind of in community, kind of being more social engaging again. I believe it's a very important topic that I wanted to address. I've wanted to address for a little while now, and that is diversity quotas. For those of you who don't know, essentially what a diversity quota is, it just says, so let's give the example of the workforce. So in your job, if you're living in a country or an area that's 20%, 80% white people, 20% black people, your workforce should reflect that. So that's what diversity quotas are. And obviously I've oversimplified it for just the ease of understanding. So with that being said, I'll say it from the jump. I do believe when these were introduced, they meant well. I do believe that they meant well. However, the results we can see from these diversity quotas will suggest that they're actually doing more harm to black people or to ethnic minorities than they are doing good. And hopefully through this video I can walk you through a few examples or a few scenarios where they've actually been hindering the progression and development of ethnic minorities instead of helping them. So yeah, let's get straight into it. So why are they becoming more popular now? I think with the religion of woke, as some would call it, beginning to grow and develop, their narratives, the policies are starting to grow and develop as well, and rise in popularity. So, and one of them being that the world is so racist that it's not only good enough to not be racist, but you have to be actively anti-racist. And again, it breaks down to definition now. What do you mean by anti-racist? So anti-racism, as I've understood it, correct me if I'm wrong, is that it's not just okay for you to not be racist and not engage in racism yourself. You have to be actively fighting racism. And I don't know if that means if you're not surrounded by racism, then you have to go look for it to fight it, or if what I think is a better understanding of what they mean by that is, you can't escape racism. If you're white, you are racist. You might not know it, you might not agree with it, but if you're white, you're racist. This is one of the narratives that they've been pushing. So because you're white and you're racist, it's going to reflect throughout your whole life. Throughout your whole life. Like, if you prefer vanilla chocolate to... Sorry, vanilla chocolate, that's not even a thing. If it actually, it might be a thing. Interesting idea. But yeah, if you prefer vanilla ice cream to chocolate ice cream, then that's your inherent racism coming out. Not the fact that you just like the different flavors differently, but it sounds silly when I'm saying it, and the sad thing is, I'm not being I'm actually not exaggerating. There will be people out there that you can find which will say these things. Like, so how does diversity quotas play into this? So because you're white and you're racist, because you're white, which is something that's being pushed very strongly at the moment, I'd suggest for you to kind of go look into the Black Lives Matter manifesto, to look at some of their speeches, some of the things that have been going on. If you think I'm lying to you about that they do believe that if you're white, you're inherently racist, you've got what they call unconscious bias. So you're inherently racist. It's a generational thing that's been passed on, or however they might frame it. Anyway, that's a different topic. Yeah, but because of your skin tone, in your hiring, you're most likely to favor those who look like you. So in order to stop you from enacting that racism, we will now make it a legal requirement for you to hire a certain percentage of ethnic minorities so that your workforce is diverse. Immediately, you can see why I would have a problem with this. Because if you go back to the first video, why I'm doing this, I'm for promoting diversity of thought, not just diversity of skin tone. promote diversity of thought. Get the best minds in and around you, in and around your business, in and around your school, in and around your personal life, regardless of their skin tones. If the best minds happen to be 1,000 black people, so be it. If there happen to be 1,000 white people, so be it. Diversity of thought over diversity of skin tone. This is why I think it's a major issue that needs to be addressed. It's not the biggest issue, but it's harming. It's harming us more than it's helping us as a nation. So why am I so kind of worked up by this topic in my ask? It is for the very fact that it's essentially telling me that the only reason, or the only way you can make it to something in life, because if you do pay attention to this, and this is a little bit funny when you do look into it, they're not asking for diversity quotas in kind of like unskilled labor or lower paying jobs. They're only asking for them in white collar, blue collar jobs, higher paying jobs. So why that might be, we'll leave that up to them. But then what the diversity quota agenda says to me is I can only make it to something worth it in life, in terms of career wise, in terms of the good schools, if someone intervenes on my behalf to let white people let me make it. So basically, left to their own devices, me, myself, I'm not good enough to make it based on my talent, based on how relevant my skills are to that job, based on how I present myself, based on how I perform in interviews, based on my grades, based on my experience. That's not good enough. I need someone to intervene for me legally so that white people allow me the opportunity. Now, do you see why that thought might be problematic? That's what I see when I'm hearing diversity quotas. And we'll go into some of the problems that arise as a reason for this. So where are some of the places that we're seeing these? So definitely the workforce, and I've seen kind of some Instagram posts kind of trying to tell people how to run their businesses, saying you need to have this amount of diversity, you need to have all of this. Not hire the best people for the job regardless of what color they are. It's you need to just hire whatever percentage of your workforce needs to be black. We're seeing this in schools, and there's been many a lot of people smarter than me, more intelligent than me, that have done research into how kind of the diversity quotas are affecting black people's performance in universities, in the top universities. Thomas Sowell had a great interview on this on the Hoover Institute, if I'm not mistaken, where he goes into this in a lot more depth. And again, a brilliant mind. I'd recommend his books. I'd recommend watching some of his videos that are on YouTube. And effectively, what's happening is because they wanted to get more black people in the Ivy League universities, or kind of the higher ranking universities. They've now lowered the standards required on an educational from a academic perspective. So basically, if you're black, you don't have to get a high, or you don't have to get that initial score that was set for you to meet the requirements for consideration. You can actually get slightly below that and still be considered, as long as they match their diversity quotas. So now, why is that dangerous in a school? So what now tends to happen is you've got black people who are smart, black kids who are smart, very, very smart. They've got a bright future ahead of them. However, because they've got into the school based on the diversity quota requirements, what's now happened is they're now in classes, in courses, and this mainly happens with STEM fields as well, where you're with people who are a lot smarter than you. Not because of their race, because of the grades that they've been able to achieve. So as a result, the lecturer basically lectures to cater to the majority of the students. And if you're not as smart or as fast as them in terms of how well you can do, then you're suffering for it. And what's happening is now that in these universities, they're seeing kind of record rates of of ethnic minorities, or should I say just like the black community, especially in America. I don't know if it's the same over here, where they're dropping out and picking an easier, or what's perceived to be an easier major, or an easier degree to complete, which as a result does not give the same employment benefits or the same employment opportunities at the end of it, and you come out with a lot of debt, and your degree is not really worth anything. It might not even be worth the paper it's printed on. Whereas if you had gone to a university which actually reflects your where you are skills wise in terms of your academic ability, you would have been taught again around your peers, so people that are of a similar academic ability to you. The lecturer would have catered that course to that academic ability. You still would have graduated in that STEM field, in that desired kind of field, and then once you come out, you've got the ability to then go into that workforce. So that's why in schools, diversity quotas are actually harming the people that they're meant to be helping. And as well, on the flip side, they've now increased, especially I know in America and a lot of universities, and again, don't quote me on this, I remember seeing a few kind of videos on this where they've increased the requirements for Asians or Asian Americans to enter some of these top universities, to help to kind of reduce their numbers, because apparently too many of them were getting in. So again, I will probably address this on a later video in terms of the differences in culture between, let's say, the kind of the black people who were born and raised in America, born and raised in the UK, born and raised in Europe, compared to the black people that are kind of first generation immigrants, or the children of first generation immigrants who have migrated from Africa to the US to America. The differences in culture between some of the other communities, what they deem to value, what they deem to kind of put on the forefront of importance when it comes to their children. So we'll probably discuss that at a different rate, and how it can help or how it impacts the rates of success for those aforementioned communities. So I mean, another reason I've got an issue with diversity quotas is, again, inconsistent. The thought process itself is inconsistent. It's something that you're probably going to get tired of me hearing, saying, is facts, evidence, consistency. So now let's give this let's give this example, which I know a lot of people like to give, to kind of show why diversity quotas wouldn't work. So if we take the NBA, for example, which is predominantly black, the best basketball players of all time, whatever. And I'm not the biggest fan of the NBA. I watch football myself. I'm a Liverpool fan. We've just won the league, but I'm trying to keep that in at the moment for the purpose of this video. But secretly, I'm dancing inside. I'm dancing in my head right now. But yeah, back to the point. If we take the NBA and we were to apply diversity quotas to the NBA, the number of black people in the NBA would have to reduce to 13% of the population in America. Now, just think about that for a second. If we were to take diversity quotas serious, to say whatever franchise, whatever business has to reflect accurately the demographics of whatever country or nation they're in, would you be happy with that? And I'm asking this to everyone, not just the black people, white people, especially NBA fans. Would you be happy with that? What would happen to the quality of your sport? If we stop saying it doesn't matter how good you are, once we hit that 13% quota, no more black people are allowed. How would that impact the quality of your sport? That leads me nicely onto my next point, which is, there's a brilliant example which I wish I could share with everyone, but I've kind of been sworn to secrecy, just kind of for the benefit of my friends' work, for lack of a better term, where diversity quotas actually harmed the person, because I'll go into the story a little bit, and I'm trying not to make this last too long. So essentially, what's happened in a nutshell, and I'll leave the profession out of it. I'll leave the kind of the names and the specifics out of it. But essentially, what's happened is there's a business that's tried to get woke, and they've wanted to employ a female person of color. But not based. So essentially, what they've done is they've not done it based on merit. On okay, let's this person of color is the next up and coming in this field. Let's get him in. They've said, look, for us to look good in front of the work crowd, we need to employ a female person of color. So they've looked at someone who maybe needed a few more years of development in what they were doing, but then because the company wanted to meet the quota, they've hired the person. Now, what that's told the person is, I'm so good at my job that this big company has come and picked me from where I was and put me in this higher position as a result, when really and truly that company only hired that person to help fill a quota, so on the books they look more ethnically diverse. Now, what's then happened is, not only have you been given a position which is above what your skill set can currently do, you're still expected to deliver the results that the position holds. So now when you get found out that your ability does not match to those levels, you start running into problems. And eventually the person ended up leaving that job. And because when they got hired, they never got told you're only here to fill a diversity quota. They were getting told the brilliant stuff that, yeah, you're the next up and coming, you're brilliant, we want you in, we're gonna work with you, we're gonna do whatever. And the results didn't come in. This person's thinking, wait, so you've told me all of that, so it must be because I'm black that you've got rid of me. And this person will not listen to reason to say your work was poor. They will not listen to reason. That's an example, just an anecdotal example of how these diversity quotas will end up harming the people that meant to be helping. I believe, so what do I believe? I believe earn your way. Merit. Earn your way. You're more likely to succeed that way. Work your way up. If it is an institute and you could prove that they're not giving you that development plan, or they're not moving progressing with that development plan, and you could prove that it's because of your race, highlight that, will help you fight that. There's a lot of people that will help you fight that because it's illegal. There's a lot of people that will help you fight that. However, don't go for diversity quotas. Anyone here that's looking at this that wants me to come and work for them in the future, please do not hire me just off my color. Make sure I'm good for the job first. In the interview, don't take it easy on me just because of my color. Make sure I'm good for the job first, because anything I do, I want to do very well. I want to succeed in. And how you succeed is being good at what you do and your work rate, work ethic. Those are the two biggest markers to succeed. Your talent, which you can, and your ability, which obviously could get worked on and improved, and then your dedication to the role. That's a major thing. So that's my recommendation. What I'd say, look, instead of looking for places where you could maybe skip a few steps by being a diversity hire, and it'll be very obvious that when it is, why don't you find what you're good at, work hard at it, work your way through it. That way, when you do get to the top, guess who gets a pat on the back? You give yourself a pat on the back. I got here. I deserved it. I earned it. Instead of someone turning around 10 years later, or when you're retiring, oh yeah, because at these Christmas parties, at these work parties, this is when it all comes out. Someone slips up from HR, oh yeah, we only hired you because we needed to get another person of color in, or we needed to get another female in. That would crush me. I'd walk out. If I ever got hired on that basis, I'd walk out. I want to get hired. I want to work. I want to do my own thing and succeed based on merit. That's what makes it feel good. To those people that go gym and you get that the delayed onset muscle soreness 48 hours later, and you're in pain, but you're smiling. Why? Because you know you worked. You know that pain is sign that your body is building. You're hurting because you've worked and you've got to, and the results you get when you now take that topless pic and you've got six pack and you've got big arms or whatever else it is, you're happy because you worked for that. How many stories have you heard of people that get surgeries, have a six pack, and still upset? It's not the same. So that's my recommendation. Anyway, thank you very much for listening. Again, I go by the name of Shepherd. My friends call me Sheps. You can call me whatever you want, as long as it's not I. Like, share, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Have a good day.